Hello again, I am Blunty, and yesterday I popped up a video on AMD's new 3400G APU. That is, a CPU-GPU combination, which means you can build a gaming PC without needing to buy a separate graphics card. Which means also, you can build a teeny tiny PC smaller even than the current consoles. Well, I mean, not the Nintendo Switch, but, the other ones. I was very impressed with it, and so were you guys, but I was rightfully called out for not including a Minecraft test, and mainly that's because I wanted it to be its own video so I can dig down a little deeper. This is the original Minecraft, the Java version, of course. If you're wondering about the Bedrock edition, the one that shares a code base across the Windows Store version, iPhone, Android, the Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and sometime this year, the PS4, that's going to run fine on this hardware. It is much more efficient than Java, but also more limited, isn't it? One of the original Java Minecraft's biggest drawcards is, of course, the modding scene, and one of the most popular mods is Optifine, which both increases performance, offers up a much larger selection of graphics options, and of course, lets you use shaders. And that's what I wanted to focus on testing. Minecraft in its raw form is no challenge for the Ryzen 5 3400G APU, but shaders are a much more GPU and CPU intensive beastie. And you are in fact, of course, looking at gameplay running on the 3400G throughout this video. So obviously shaders can and will run on it. End of video. Thanks for watching. It takes a little work, okay? So let's break it down. I'm also running my usual collection of various data packs and resource packs, making it even prettier, but a little bit harder to run, of course. The biggest word in shaders right now is the currently in development PTGI shader, the Path Tracing Global Illumination shader, and that implements a type of CPU-based ray tracing to make light work just like real-world light would be expected to. It looks amazing. It's what I use on my current stream world, and it's lovely. But it can and will kick the ever-living hell out of your PC. It is very computationally expensive to run. Rather interestingly, despite the ray tracing shader having several known issues with AMD-based GPU architecture right now, and yes, it is being worked on right now, the guy making the shader just bought an AMD card, he's testing and working on it, but the current version mostly works. Some stuff is broken, and of course the frame rate is basically unplayable, but if you just wanted to switch it on briefly to snatch up a fantastic looking screenshot of some wonderful build you have done, the frame rate is enough to have good enough control to get the scene and framing where you need it to be very easily for that lovely screenshot. I didn't think the ray tracing shader was going to work, but I had to try it, didn't I? I, of course, also tried out a fistful of other popular shaders I had on hand, and as you've been seeing throughout this video, most don't run especially well. Many can't reach a decently playable frame rate either. But again, useful enough for screenshots if you like the look that they give you. But I did eventually settle down on the Beyond Belief shader pack. It provides an effect I find generally aesthetically pleasing, and with some fiddling, I was able to reach a nice balance between the look, the resolution, and the performance. The biggest compromises were dropping the resolution to 720p, which is in fact what most of the tests you've been seeing were run at. I mean, it's Minecraft, and this is a pretty low-end machine, and there's not a huge visual benefit to 1080p over 720p for Minecraft in most circumstances, but it does make a much bigger difference to shader performance, so that's compromise number one. I capped the frame rate to 60 FPS. We never actually get to 60 FPS, really, but for some reason, the game always seems to deliver slightly better performance than just leaving it set to unlimited. Weird. Minecraft Java is weird sometimes. I also dropped the render distance down to 8 chunks, which is in fact the standard default for Java Minecraft. It's what it's set at when you first install it. I think it's about 14 on most Bedrock platforms these days, and personally I usually use at least 16 when running the ray tracing shader on my other machine I use for streaming. And with these 3 settings, and a little fiddling and fine-tuning of various settings in the shader itself, I got to a place that was really very playable. At least for single-player survival. You PvP types, of course, need not apply for these kind of frame rates, eh? And in fact, day or night, even when it's raining, which of course adds a bunch of extra particles and, for most shaders, a ton of extra reflections and splashes from wet surfaces, I can still maintain around 30 FPS in built-up overworld areas, which I would call perfectly playable for Minecraft. So, if you were after something affordable and or something teeny tiny for Minecraft and were hoping to be able to run heavier mod stuff like shaders, yeah, the AMD Ryzen 5 3400G can and will get you there. If there's enough interest, I may also try some of those big fat kitchen sink mod packs out there. Let me know and I'll try and carve out some time for that if enough of you want it. And yes, in related topics, by the way, I did see the news that Mojang have cancelled their work on the promised so-called super duper graphics pack. that they announced a couple of years back at E3, and that would have updated some bedrock versions of Minecraft to graphics that are much more like what shader-running Java players have had for years and years and years now. But it turns out Mojang and Microsoft can't even match what a single person, hobbyists, have been able to do on Java for years, which is just absurd. How incompetent do these people have to be not to be able to even do what... I mean, come on, who have they got working for them? Ugh. Well, long live the Java version. Minecraft Master Race. Am I right? Thanks for watching. I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.